Sometimes when you're feeling good on a Friday, you just want to whip out one of your harmonicas and play a little bit. Such a pleasure and a privilege to be with you today, as always. Thanks for joining us, being a part of the program. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, be sure to do so. But I wanted to play a little bit of harmonica to introduce our very special guest today, who, according to Twitter, is in quarantine or something in the Dagobah system. Dave Rubin is host of the Rubin Report and also of the new book, Don't Burn This Book, which we're going to put on the screen. Don't burn that book. Buy it instead. Dave Rubin, happy Free to Choose Friday on a day focused on free speech. Welcome to the show. So great to have you.
Jimmy, it's good to be with you. I wish I had a harmonica. I think I've got one around here somewhere, like buried deep, but you've got some skills, man. I'm impressed.
Well, thank you. I got 6 others right here. I've heard you, Dave Rubin, talk about big tech before, and here's the rub for me. And it is a difficult situation in a lot of ways because we do see censorship of a variety of different, more conservative speakers or viewpoints, different narratives than what the media is trying to spin, WHO politicians in regards to coronavirus, as you've pointed out. But at the same time, Facebook and Twitter, we may need them for the roles we play in media, but you don't need to be a part of that. And technically speaking, Facebook can't force you in any way to use its products or services, whereas the government has the power of force. So there's this big question about how we regulate or don't regulate big tech. And I'm of the mind that government shouldn't get involved because I think that would cause even more problems. And what needs to happen is we need to speak up more and more pronounced and get people lined up together against Facebook and Twitter when they do, or YouTube when they do these sorts of censorship things, as opposed to, as some are suggesting, looking towards regulating big tech more. What do you think of that?
You're speaking my language, man. Yeah, this is where I come on the more libertarian side of the argument. I don't believe that you take one big thing, big tech, and then you combine it with this other thing, big government, and then think that that will make things smaller. What that will do is combine them into some sort of giant Voltron or Transformer Devastator-like monster. Did you get the reference there?
I did indeed.
You did. I thought you would. You look like you're at the right age to get the reference. So I don't believe in that. I believe in human ingenuity. I believe in competition. I believe in individuals standing up. So yes, is it scary that YouTube and Twitter and Facebook have this kind of power over us? Of course it is. But you know what? These things didn't always exist and they won't always exist. David beat Goliath. The little guy can beat the big guy. As you may have heard, I started a tech company, locals.com, and we're building digital homes for creators where you own all of your stuff. We don't own user data. You set your rules. And I think we're solving about 95% of problems for 95% of the creators. And just yesterday, Donald Trump Jr., you may have heard of that guy, he announced that he's going to be using our platform. So I think things can change. And the knee-jerk response to just say, hey, we got a problem, let government fix it. It's like, well, government causes most of the problem. So most likely they're not going to solve most of the problem.
Many times already on this program, I have played Ronald Reagan's statement that government is not the solution to our problems. Government is the problem, because it's so true. But you look at big tech. I remember when Mark Zuckerberg, just a couple of years ago now, I guess it was a couple of years ago, although it seems more recent than that, he testified before the United States Congress, and he was asked a question about whether or not he would support regulation of big tech. And he said, if it's the right regulation, and then Senator Lindsey Graham asked him, would you help us write regulations? And he said, sure, I'll help you. Big tech wants more regulation because they know they can have a seat at the table in order to push out little guys, and like locals.com, in order to increase their power relative to the market.
Well, not only do they want it because it will help crush competition, right? Because then the government will be off their back. But they also want it because then then there's this strange line where it's like, instead of the government censoring you, well, it'll be the company censoring you, but the government will have something to do with the company. All of these people, when AOC and the rest of the progressives, they demand that Facebook, censor hate speech and censor all these things, it's like, wait a minute. hate speech, we're allowed to say hate speech. The Supreme Court ruled on that. There's no such thing as hate speech. You can't call for direct violence for people, but you're allowed to say bad things. That is part of what free speech is. Actually, it's a necessary part, because how do you decide what is right and what is okay and what is acceptable and what isn't? So once AOC says, no, Facebook, you have to do this, well, congratulations. That is a major infringement on our First Amendment rights. And I think a lot of people are waking up to this stuff. I mean, I think one of the side effects, the positive side effects, let's say, of coronavirus is that people are waking up. They're going, wait a minute. Why does the government have so much to do with my life? Name three. If you say to anybody, you could say to the furthest lefty socialist Bernie Bananas loon on Twitter, if you say to them, name three politicians you like, they can't do it. They'll say Bernie, AOC, and then, maybe picks another. But the point is, nobody can pick three they like. Even the people who love Trump the most, they don't love him because he's a politician. They love him because he's not a politician. So the idea that these people that we've just decided to give power to have any clue what's going on. I mean, that Gavin Newsom, my governor here in California, who was the former mayor of San Francisco, who turned it into literally a crap hole. There's an app to tell you where human poop is on the street in San Francisco. I'm pretty sure that this is not the guy that should be ruling my life in California right now, which maybe says more about me, why I'm here. I'm not sure, but we used to be able to go to the beaches, so that was nice.
Well, I'll tell you, Colorado is becoming increasingly Californicated, and that's where I'm broadcasting from. So, I mean, yeah, it would be nice. Maybe you can help us ward off some of the left-wing stuff that's been coming from California by moving here. You'd be the right kind of Californian to move to Colorado, but you might not want to come here, to be honest with you, because more parts of the country.
I got my own problems over here, man.
I know full well. I watch your show. You have a tremendous amount of problems, Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin hosts the Rubin Report. Let's talk about what's going on with coronavirus for just one moment, especially on the free speech side. But look, I know that you are a Revenge of the Sith fan, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. And this has been in my mind because I think this is the nature, this is the way that government is right now. It reminds me of a particular scene in Revenge of the Sith.
The Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire for a safe and secure society.
For a safe and secure society, that sounds like what the argument is behind suppressing some of the speech on countervailing narratives in this coronavirus crisis and the science. That sounds like so many things that are happening in our society today, Dave Rubin.
Jimmy, can I tell you that I've done about 200 shows in the last 3 weeks for this book tour? This has been by far my favorite interview. The fact that you just played a clip from Revenge of the Sith, I have to insert Star Wars references.
The force is
normally.
Strong with me. Dave, the force is strong with me.
Indeed it is. Well, look, I've been saying to people for years that the prequels will be looked back on much more fondly. Yes,
I agree.
The acting is stiff. Hayden Christensen's a terrible actor, and some of the dialogue and the love scenes are stiff. But the general idea of a person creating conflict to consistently build power, which is exactly what first Senator Palpatine did, and then Chancellor Palpatine, and then ultimately Supreme Leader Palpatine. That's exactly what he did. And what was he doing the entire time? That scene right there, that's it. And then everyone will cheer you along as you're telling them that you're going to keep them safe from the thing that you created. So I'm not saying that our government created the coronavirus, but they create a response that is so over the top that suddenly every time they do something, we applaud them for it. So you got people in California where virtually nobody is sick, and certainly young people are healthy, and it's 85 and sunny every day, and they're telling us we can't go to the beach, and we're all like, oh, good, we can't go to the beach anymore. Well, why am I paying 13% property taxes? So the point is, we need Jedi. We need more Jedi. They're scattered across the galaxy. Another reference that I'm sure you've heard me make is that what the progressives did to the liberals was basically execute Order 66. Mm-hmm. The progressives moved into the liberals. The liberals didn't realize it because liberals are nice and liberals are tolerant and decent. And they just executed all of them. And I would say there's a couple good liberals spread throughout the galaxy, which is why I say I'm on Dagobah. And I would say Bill Maher's there. And Bill Maher's an interesting character because who hates Bill Maher now? It's the left. Who loves Bill Maher now? It's the right. I mean, everything is completely upside down right now. And, I am a believer that the little guy can beat the big guy. So if Luke blew up the Death Star and all of these things can happen, then we can fix this problem, but it ain't going to be easy.